Welcome to Worth It or Worthless, a show where every couple weeks we pull a game from my own personal collection of retro games, take off our nostalgia tinted glasses and decide, is the game good by today's standards and is it worth the price of admission? We talk about what the game does well, what the game doesn't do so well, and the things that are just plain weird. I'm your host Dan, joined as always by my friend Jordan. Jordan, what did we get into today?
Today we played Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords for Xbox and iOS. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords is the story of Star Wars, a long time ago, but not like as long ago as KOTOR 1, but still a lot longer time ago than The Phantom Menace and like a little while longer ago than The High Republic. The Star Wars timeline is kind of confusing to me. Like, how long ago is all this stuff happening?
You want to know? You want to get into fun facts already, Jordan?
Yes, please. Do I ever?
We played KOTOR. Yeah, one of my fun facts is this actually takes place 4,000 years before Phantom Menace and 5 years after the events of Knights of the Old Republic 1.
Yeah, and I just saw it's 800 years before the High Republic, which is like the era that all the current Star Wars books are being written in, and there's supposed to be more media coming out in that era. But it's like, man, when you spread everything out by 4,000 years, you get a lot of leeway to add whole eras in.
So that's why Disney hasn't killed Knights of the Old Republic.
No, well, it's 4,000 years ago. It's like, who cares?
I feel like with Disney being like, none of this stuff counts, they left Knights of the Old Republic alone because that is one maybe sacred bit of expansion to Star Wars canon that they...
I mean, kind of, but like the vast majority of people like me have no idea what it is or care, really. So like there's like 10 of you who would be really outraged about it, but you guys are already outraged about everything Disney's doing.
No.
And like the vast majority of people, like you go ask any normal person on the street, they're like, yeah, I like Star Wars. What do you think about KOTOR? And they'll be like, what are you talking about? I
am not outraged at everything that Disney's doing.
Well, I mean, sometimes.
Well, yeah, sometimes, but granted, am I not like annoyed at some of the stuff that happened before Disney ever bought it?
Yeah,
like,
no, that's fair.
You know what I'm saying?
That's fair, but there's people who are always going to be highly critical about Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, they're going to be mad about Disney, but then they forget that like George Lucas McClunkied and added like blinking Ewoks.
Speaking of George Lucas,
why?
Today, as we're recording this, it's his 78th birthday. I know that George tunes into all of our podcasts, so I just want to say happy belated birthday, George, when this comes out, but we're recording on your birthday and we're thinking of you.
So anyways, Star Wars has been a breeding ground for controversy for basically since the prequels came out.
But like, I feel like of all the controversies, this one would hit a relatively small percentage of
No, absolutely not. I feel like this is like...
There are literally dozens of us.
No! This was Game of the Year 2000... Knights of the Old Republic 1 was Game of the Year 2003.
You got to think there's been like an entire generation of Star Wars fans who have been born since 2003.
And then you have Knights of the Old Republic 2, which came out, a little later. And then you have Old Republic, and then now they're making a Knights of the Old Republic remake of the first one. So do you really think that all that stuff and all these books and comics and all that stuff, would that stuff exist if it was for a very niche corner of the Star Wars fandom?
Yes,
I don't think
absolutely.
Whatever.
Listen,
man.
These are movies that make billions of dollars worldwide, and most people have no clue what has happened outside of the, what do we have, 9, 10, 11 movies.
Yeah,
most people don't know anything that's happened outside of that.
Yeah, so if you care, though, about Star Wars outside of the movie universe, then I think that Knights of the Old Republic is, it's not like that crazy to think that you know what this is.
Yeah. I mean, the 30 of you will be really upset about it if they ever decide to retcon any of it. But most of us will be fine.
Don't even. This is how Jordan's brain works. He just thinks that like when there are hundreds of thousands of people who like something, it's like 30 people or whatever.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, well, what?
There's 7.5 billion people on the planet. All of them are Star Wars fans. And then you just said there's 130,000 of you who care about this game.
All of them are Star Wars fans. Are there still only 7.5 billion? Are we at 8 yet?
I don't know. I mean, it's always...
I heard somebody say 8 billion recently. I was like, are we at 8?
I'm going to have to update my my Switch projections.
You gotta...
All right. What other fun facts do we have about this game?
This one... So the first one was developed by WioW. This one developed by Obsidian and published by LucasArts. Came out in 2004 in December on the original Xbox. In Europe and Australia, and all of the PC versions of this, it came out in February of 2005, so just a few months later. And for context, the original Knights of the Old Republic came out in July of 2003, so a year and a half later.
Those are all facts.
None of those are fun for you?
Not really. I mean, you got any fun facts?
I do. Okay. BioWare suggested Obsidian make the sequel based on a good relationship with the studio, familiarity with their past work, and finding LucasArts' schedule for the sequel to be a little tight.
Yeah, what was it, 18 months or something?
Something like that.
It's a big game to make in 18 months. Granted, they already had like the foundation. I'm guessing like they used the same like systems as KOTOR 1. There's a lot of similarities, but
yeah, it's like the same engine. And another fun fact is Obsidian didn't want to redo any of the design elements from the first game, as they proved to be successful, like the graphics, lighting, they sought to improve it in different areas, like the graphics, lighting, weather
but not
effects,
like a
level
total
sizes. Yeah. But they didn't want to change the things that made the first game like interesting and good.
Yeah.
So it was like they started writing this game before before the original one even came out.
Oh, wow.
And then they had, like a year. And then another thing that happened, according to one of the co-founders of Obsidian, was the game was supposed to come out in 2005, but got pushed up to 2004 after E3 in 2004. And the choice was to get in trouble or get the game done, which I think we'll talk about
a
little later.
I saw there's some really interesting stuff with the development of this game, because like apparently LucasArts came to them and was like, hey, we're going to give you guys more time to work on this game. And they're like, okay, awesome. So they started adding all this extra stuff. And then LucasArts came back and said, oh, no, actually, we want you guys to get it done by Christmas still. Yeah. And they never had that extension in writing. It was just a verbal thing. And so then they were now on this time crunch and they had to cut all this stuff out.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
One of the things that I wrote down is there was a droid planet that was cut, but the assets were moved to like Godo's yacht. So it's like they had like all the stuff that they originally planned and had to cut due to that sort of, it's like, get it out by December.
Yeah.
Which is like, I imagine BioWare, like, I wonder, I don't think it was nefarious, but it almost is just like, yeah, they want this game out too quick. Why don't you guys do it? Like, what's up with that?
I don't know. Yeah, I was kind of wondering, why, if the first game was so successful, why did they pitch it off onto somebody else for the second one?
I mean, granted, it's not like I came into this one and I was like, this. So I haven't played this game since, I don't know, 2007. I think I played this.
I've never played this game.
Based on sort of what I'm digging through in my mind. And it's like, oh, this really does just feel like KOTOR 1. Like way more, for whatever reason, I thought there were way more differences in the two.
Oh yeah.
I felt like I was expecting it to be a little bit less of like a real true sequel to the first one, but it was like, yeah, this is KOTOR. Even though it was made by a different studio, it's like, this is definitely KOTOR.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I saw something really interesting about the designer. I don't know how you say his name. Chris Macaroni.
Dave Filoni?
The guy.
Dave Filoni worked in this game?
No, maybe it's his distant cousin. Not even remotely close to being spelled the same way. But the designer, he went on like a binge of like all the extended universe Star Wars stuff. He watched all the movies. He played the first game. He read nearly every expanded universe book at the time, which is a lot of content.
Yeah.
He even endured the Star Wars holiday special for the sake of fully understanding the universe.
So that's why the game took so long to finish.
Well, it says that he took all of this knowledge that he amassed from that's an insane amount of content.
Yeah,
an absolute insane amount of content. And there's like all these nods to Star Wars canon, like down to like the most minute details in this game, as well as entire plot threads from like throwaway lines from the first game that they took and then turned into stuff for this game. So like you have to like, they got the game as like kind of like, oh, we don't really want to do this, you guys take it. But I mean, it's impressive the amount of work that the team went through. I mean, at least the designer, like that is some serious dedication.
So I don't know if it was the Wikipedia page or some other like place on the internet. I think it might have been like the critical reception section of Wikipedia, where I think some fans feel like this is one of the best Star Wars, if not the best Star Wars story that's ever been written.
Which means there's an equal number of fans who hate it.
Probably. That's kind of how that works. So it would make sense that if somebody went to that extent to really understand the universe and the lore, and they had a significant role in the game, and they were able to sort of, even if somebody else that was helping them didn't necessarily do the same level of work, to have somebody like that on the team, I could see like being really beneficial.
When I was looking through trivia stuff for the trivia segment at the end of the episode, I did see that there are some people, there is a faction of people who think that that Chris Avellone guy, Avellone, whatever, how you say his name, he actually hates Star Wars, and that he purposely made this game as like a jab at Star Wars people. So there legitimately is. I don't know how big. Maybe it's like, you know, if there's only a dozen people who are really passionate about this game, like maybe 6 of them feel that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are people out there who feel that way, and he's come out and said like no, and that's why he explained like I went and did all of this research on Star Wars.
Well, shout out to fake Mike Jones. Yesterday, he sent me a link to this Darth Jar Jar theory. Like Jar Jar, there's a fan,
a
contingent of
that's
fans.
Canon. That's my head canon.
I think that Jar Jar is a Sith Lord, and I watched a few minutes of a video where it's like these clips of Jar Jar like waving his hand, and it's like, oh, it's a Jedi mind trick, and like this whole thing. So it's interesting, the fan theories that
Star Wars
find in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, it's a bottomless pit. Like it's just such a massive like galaxy spread over thousands of years. Yeah. So you can really make it be whatever you want it to be.
Well, and that's again like I've been saying recently in conversations, I think I said probably on our Patreon episode or maybe in our Shadows of the Empire episode, that's what makes Star Wars so interesting for me, is that universe. It's just the canvas as a whole and how nerdy you can get with it, and like the lore, and like, I don't know, like you go into a lightsaber or like a lightsaber crystal cave in this game, and it's like there's a whole section of lore on this being a thing.
Yeah.
And like that's what makes the universe so interesting to me, is just like it's so massive and so interesting, you know, to somebody like me, that I don't know. I like I like Star Wars as a whole, you know. I'm not going to be like, I mean, I guess I don't know what I'm trying to say. I like Star Wars generally, not necessarily the story of the movies is so riveting and I love it. I just love the universe.
You can have a dark pit of hateness, a dark pit of hateness.
Down with the hateness.
Yeah. You can have that towards The Last Jedi because you have so much love towards the rest of the franchise.
I truly, truly do not want to talk about Last Jedi.
It's your favorite movie.
Not taking
and
the
you're
bait.
Afraid
not
that,
taking the
you're
bait.
afraid that I might say some hurtful things about it.
No, it came up on Discord and I literally was like, I need to leave.
Just deleted the channel.
Like I need to leave anything about Last Jedi alone right now.
That's fair.
McClunky over Last Jedi. That's all I'm saying. Do you want to get into what the game does well?
Real quick, Dan, we got our fun fact of the episode.
Okay, hit me with it.
Fun fact of the episode, guys. You might not know this because recently we launched worthitoworworthless.com.
Yep.
And it's just a one-stop shop. If you were like, I want to find stuff. These guys are always talking about all this stuff. It's all there on the website. You can find our episodes. You can find some really great articles that Dan has written that are inspired by what we've talked about here. We've got reviews, all sorts of good stuff there. So if you're like, man, I just want more. I want more Worth It or Worthless.
I need more of these guys.
I've already subscribed on Patreon. I need even more.
More of Dan's ridiculous opinions on things.
Yes, check out the website. You can also find all sorts of other good stuff there. Little tidbits, little Easter eggs.
Worthitoworworthless.com.
There you go. All right, let's jump into what the game does well. Dan, number one thing for me, I have to say that this is a top tier Star Wars game that is lots of fun. Lots of fun.
Okay.
This is the thing. There's over 100 Star Wars games.
Video games are fun.
No,
let's talk about this.
Listen, let me explain. There's over 100 Star Wars games. There's so many of them that now if you Google it, instead of saying like there are 108 Star Wars games, there's just so many of them. It says there's over 100. And
I would hazard that at least a single-digit percentage of those games are pretty good.
Well, so here's the thing. We've covered, I think, pretty much all of them on this podcast.
Yeah.
No, we've covered a lot of them on the podcast. And just
this
because
is episode 95. We've covered most of the Star Wars, most of the hundreds.
This is just a Star Wars game podcast. Every May.
We could make that, though. That could be a thing.
Yeah, it could. I mean, if we go long enough and there's enough Mays, we'll eventually cover all of them. So this is as long as they don't release more than 2 Star Wars games a year, and then we're in trouble. So this is the thing. Some of them are not fun. We've played some of them that are not fun, and so when we get one that is Star Wars, which we love, and it's also fun, then that is a great combination. And I have to say that this is like the top tier. Like even among the ones that are fun, these KOTOR games are like probably my favorite Star Wars games.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like it's a good. I hate just being like, yes, the game is fun, but like on a macro level, the game is satisfying and fun. There's something about I'm sorry. What I'm trying to articulate is like I hate when we just say a game is fun, because that's not really helpful.
It's not helpful, but I think when it comes to a licensed game, it is helpful because it's so rare that a game is fun and that a game is good. And so when you have a licensed game that is fun and good, and it's actually like not like this isn't just fun and good for a licensed game, or not just fun and good for a Star Wars game. Like this is like legitimately a top tier video game. Okay,
so here's what I want to do. I want to unpack why this game is fun.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think my first point helps that a little bit.
Let's hear it.
It is Dungeons and Dragons. Again, I said this about the first Knights of the Old Republic in the episode that was from 2 years ago. I don't remember what the number is. 30-something, 40-something?
I don't know. 44.
44. Dungeons and Dragons is the system, or the D20 system developed by Wizards of the Coast, is sort of the pulling all the strings behind here, between the combat and the leveling system and like the stats and all this stuff. And I think Dungeons and Dragons, like, I mean, when it's been around since the 70s, like the system Dungeons and Dragons has been around for a while. It's like a really good system to build something on.
Yeah, so if you're going to make a video game and you're going to make an RPG, like you're going to have to come up with a system to manage all of the stats, all the classes, all that kind of stuff, all the abilities. And you can either, go from scratch and build your own thing, or you can use something that already exists. And why not use something like the Dungeons and Dragons system that has been tested by a gazillion people over the years, and they've refined it so many times. Like they have, you have the different, I don't know a ton about D&D, but I know you have like D&D 5e and all like that kind of stuff. It's
sold more copies than Switches.
I'm sure it has. Yeah. So all that to say,
copies of Dungeons and Dragons.
They let somebody else do the heavy lifting for them and coming up with the system. But for those of us who aren't total nerds and don't care about any of that stuff, it all happens kind of behind the scenes. So you don't have to super engage in it. Like if you are Dan or whoever and you want to get really into it, it's all there.
For those of us who aren't total nerds.
Yeah.
How do you really feel, Jordan?
I'm just saying, like, if you want to go really deep in the weeds, you can. If you don't want to go really deep in the weeds and you're like, I just want to run around and hit people with a lightsaber, you can do that.
Yeah. Which it plays to another point with all the stats. Like I have auto leveling written down as something that the game does well. Because it's like, well, you got all these characters that you can choose from. And so like maybe you don't want to use this droid character that's in your party ever. And then all of a sudden you want to use it for a mission. Well, instead of leveling it from level 6 to 22 manually, you just hit like the Y button on the Xbox gamepad, and it's like, here's some suggestions of what we think this character is built and spec'd for.
And by some suggestions, it literally just levels the guy up for you.
Yeah. Or it can make suggestions if you go in manually, like if you go into a manual power and you hit Y, it will suggest stuff. So you're absolutely right. Like with the Dungeons and Dragons system, it's like, if I really know that I want this particular character to fill this particular role, like I want this character to be my security character so that I don't have to waste security points on my, main character or whatever. You can do it, or you can just kind of let the game decide who's who for you. And another nice thing is that in a lot of places, you can actually just change out your party on the fly. As long as you're not in a particular situation, you can just go into the menu and pick whichever character you want. So auto leveling helps for when you want to do that too.
Or if you're not in a battle, you can just swap somebody in at almost any time.
Yeah.
To go along with that, right along with that, is that this is an RPG for everyone, even people who hate RPGs. I feel like so before we ever started this podcast, if you asked me, Jordan, do you like RPGs? I'd be like, yeah, I love RPGs.
Really?
Because my idea of RPG was Pokemon. It's like, yeah, that's cool. I can have like different characters and I level them up. And then we played some real RPGs on this show, and then I was like, I hate RPGs. They're boring, they're long, they're slow. I have to Google things every 5 seconds. This isn't a game. This is like a book with more work. Not a book where I have to go on the internet and find every other page. And so the thing that's great about this game is it is an RPG. It has all those fiddly bits if you want them, but it also makes it so that you can interact with it and not have to do any of that. At no point did I ever have to Google anything in this game. I think maybe once I did, and that was because I wanted to do it faster, not because I got lost or confused about something. Even more so than the first KOTOR game, probably because I kind of understood the game a little bit more. It does things for you like if in a normal RPG, it's like, oh, here's like a million NPCs, and I have to find out which one of them has the information that I need to find out what to do next. In this game, if an NPC has a name, it like tells you like this guy's name is John. Yeah, it wouldn't be that because it starts to be like Johnso Keto. You're like, okay, I need to talk to that person because he has a name. If it just says commoner or soldier or whatever, then I'm like, I don't need to talk to that person because they don't have any quest sensitive information for me. It also does stuff for it's like
I don't think that's actually true though.
It is true.
I don't know if that's 100% true.
It's 100% true. If a person does not have a proper name or a proper pronoun or whatever, you don't have to talk to that person.
No, you don't have to.
They're just going to spit out. They're not going to give you any like text boxes to interact with unless they have an actual like name.
But again, I don't think that that's necessarily true.
Dude, it's true. I tested it.
I'm thinking that there's a couple of situations where I walked up to NPCs that didn't necessarily have names and got like a little cutscene from it and stuff.
Unless it was like a unique name. Like it might not be like, say, like Lieutenant Johnson, but if it says like the general, it's like I should probably talk to the guy who's the general. But if it's just like a random soldier, you don't need to talk to that guy.
I don't know, man. I don't know because you said that, I was specifically watching out for it, and I feel like that was not my experience because I was like, I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I played the game that way, and I beat it that way. And so for those of us who don't want to go around and talk to 900 NPCs, you can play this game that way.
Yeah,
similarly,
100%. Yep.
Similarly,
that's a great thing.
There are like a million boxes in this game. For some reason, you can just go and loot every room, home, spaceship in the game. And in the first game, they had that too. But it's just like you'd go up to a box and you'd open it and be like, this box is empty. And you're like, cool. Okay, there's 900 boxes in this room. I have to go click on each of them and find out it's empty. In this one, if a box has like a name or like it'll like pop up an icon above it, and it's like, okay, that box has something in it. And you don't have to go waste your time opening empty boxes. I never opened an empty box in this game, and it was amazing. It's like this game
I don't remember if this is true. I meant to like fact check this.
It's true. This is just how I just played this game. It was amazing. They took this game and they're like, what if we made an RPG that doesn't suck? And
like
I'm just wondering, like, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. KOTOR and KOTOR 2, they're like, what if we made RPGs that
okay.
That
I thought you were
suck?
talking about the first one. I was like, what do you know? This is
no, it's great. And then they even did like great things. Like the other thing I hated about Final Fantasy VII was like 9 million endless cutscenes, and they just go on forever and ever and ever and ever. This game has a gazillion cutscenes, and like a lot of times you'll be talking to somebody, and it'll like the dialogue will become a cutscene. You can skip. It'll have text for every cutscene, and once you've read it, you can hit the button and it'll just skip to the next line. It doesn't skip the entire cutscene; it just lets you skip to the next line, and so you're able to blast through cutscenes without having to sit there forever. It's like they took this game and they're like, "What if it was actually fun and an enjoyable experience to play an RPG?" And I wish more games would do that.
Yeah, I feel like too they added like I don't know if some of the stuff is like quality of life or something else, but like I don't remember if the first game did this, but like there's points in the game where it's like, hey, when this happens, or when this character does this, like Atten has a penchant for telling the future or something, or like when you get a cutscene, like Jedi premonition, you should save your game. Like it gives you these tutorial hand-holding things where it's like, oh, I see these enemies up ahead. Probably a significant event is going to happen. I should add a save here.
Yeah.
In case I want to change it. And I don't remember if that was a thing in the first game, but I appreciated in the second game that whenever you got these like force visions, it was like, oh, save your game before you walk into this room.
I definitely got stuck less often in this game than in the first one. I was listening back to that episode, and there was times where I had to like go back and because I got stuck in a certain area. I think that this game helps you out by there definitely is a lot of depth here, which is another thing that the game does well. There's like these games are made to be replayed multiple times because you literally can't do everything on one playthrough. You can't do everything on 2 playthroughs because you can make your guy go completely dark side, which is what I did, and I didn't love that because it's so like doing all of the evil things. You're like, no, like when you're the good guy, you know what the right choice is. When you're the bad guy, it's a little bit harder to know what the right choice is. So I wish I would have gone light side, but you can go dark side, you can go light side, and you get 2 completely different stories.
Yeah.
You have all of these different party members, and they have this influence system where you can interact with them, and based on how you interact with them, it changes like how they feel about you and what happens in the story. And so you literally have to play this game many times to explore all the different areas of it. But you might be thinking like, oh, that sounds awful. Like I'm going to get like analysis paralysis because like, I don't know what to do. The game really saves you from that because you can't really mess up. Like you can play this game however you want and you're going to be able to beat it. The only exception I think is you really have to commit to like light side or dark side because there's one area of the game, and I ran into this problem, where if you're not at least 75% light or 75% dark, you can't get into this cave that you need to like progress the story. Really? And so I was just a little bit I was dark, but I wasn't dark enough, and I had to like run around, go to different planets and find more evil things to do real quick so that I could get dark enough to progress the story. But that was the only time, and that was mostly because I just wasn't very good at being a dark side character. I should have been light side. After playing the first KOTOR game, I was like, I want to play dark side, and I don't think I'll do that again in the future just because I wasn't good at it.
Yeah, I have the flexibility of the story as something that it does well.
Yeah,
because
it's awesome.
like it's not only just light side or dark side, but like you can do different classes and characters, or just use different party members, and it seems like the influence system, like as far as the end of the game. So when you look at the character, I think it's the stats screen, like where it shows your force alignment, and it'll be like more blue and then glowing, or it'll be like more red if you're like dark side kind of a thing. When you go over certain characters, they have like a white glow behind them.
Yeah.
Which means they're like super light side.
Yep.
And then at the end of the game, when I was on the last section, a couple of the characters that had that glow, I want to say, maybe had like a part in the end of the story. And I was like, is that because I remember she had the glow? Like, is this because she was super light side and there was some influence? I'm like, I wonder if that can change, if your influence can affect how the game sort of throws you into the end of it. I don't know.
So the influence system was new to this game. It wasn't in the first KOTOR game, and so I wasn't really expecting it, and I didn't play this game with that knowledge. So like I basically used the same 2 party members along with my main character everywhere I went that it let me. Sometimes it forces you to split up, but because I did that, I missed out on like a lot of the extra stuff you can do. Like I won't say who, but you can train some of the characters to become like Jedis, which is pretty cool, but I didn't know that, and so I just rolled with the same 2 characters the whole time, and I feel like I missed out on a lot of that, but that just goes into the depth of the game and the fact that you can play it. Everybody's going to play this game differently, and because of that, you're going to get a different story and a different feel than I did or Dan did, because you really mold how the game goes. Yeah,
I read that you could train people to be Jedi. I didn't do it. Some of the characters, the NPCs, they want to like fight me and train or like play Pazak. So I was like, I don't want to have these conversations. I'm trying to finish this game. So a lot of it was like, I might have missed out on some of that stuff, but like so this game to me feels like a pretty heavy precursor to Mass Effect. Mass Effect is like general sci-fi KOTOR, the first one is. It got a little bit more third-person shooter RPG after that, but in the same way that like Castlevania 2 kind of feels like the precursor to Symphony of the Night, like a rough draft, I really was like, oh, this really feels like future like BioWare RPGs. So I was talking to a lot of people, but when they wanted me to do something, I was like, I don't want to do this. I want to progress the story. If we have to do more than a conversation where I click my response, I don't want to do this.
You missed out on some side quests.
I sure did. I don't care.
I don't even care.
I finished this game like 2 hours before we recorded this episode.
So. Yeah. My final save was just over 30 hours.
I think, so my save was just under 32 hours, but my playtime was probably closer to like 34, 35 based on reloading saves or little things. So yeah, it was probably like 30,
I only had
34.
I only had to go back and reload a save like once or twice. But we'll talk more about that in a little while.
Yeah. Jordan, so one of the things that Obsidian supposedly did was like made the levels bigger, but like besides Nar Shaddaa,
Yeah.
like the levels don't feel like they're overwhelmingly big. And I like that.
Yeah. No, I actually felt like the levels were smaller than the first one, aside from Nar Shaddaa, which was gigantic.
Yeah. So it was like, this game, it's like, it's an RPG. We're going to throw a bunch of quests at you, but it doesn't feel like overwhelming because you have to like talk to all these different people to like get these quests done. But it actually doesn't feel overwhelming because of the size of the world. So I think that that's the structure of this game actually plays well to it.
Yep. Totally agree.
And on that point, piggybacking a little bit, a couple of the planets are from the original KOTOR. And there's nods to the original KOTOR in this game, which I appreciated. Like, spoiler alert, you can rebuild HK-47. Did you do that?
I did. Yeah, he was one of my dudes.
Really?
Did you not do that?
I sure did.
Oh, okay.
But I loaded up my original Xbox save, like back from like 2007 or whatever, just to see where I was at.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it back then. So I'm like, because I was missing a couple characters on the select screen.
Oh, I filled them all up this time.
So I got every character at some point. I even took a screenshot to prove it to myself. Like, I did it. I did the thing. I got them all. I caught them all. Although
apparently, if you play as a girl, there's like it swaps out. So like, I'm assuming you played as a guy.
Yeah.
I played as a guy, and so you pick up one party member, but if you're playing as a girl, you don't get that party member and you pick up a different dude party member who you interact with in the story, but I'm like, is this a person I can add to my team? And I'm like, why can't I add this person to my team? And then I realized, oh, it's because I'm a dude, he's a dude, we're all dudes. Hey.
Also, there's depending on your alignment, light side or dark side, another one will change. The Wookiee will change with
really
character called Mira. The two, the Wookiee Hanhar is his name, I think.
Yeah, I had Hanhar. You didn't have Hanhar?
No, his life debt is owed to her name's not Mission. Mission's the girl from the first one.
No, Mira. I think
Mira.
Right. She's the other.
Yes.
What do you call it?
She's basically the Mission from. Yes, she's the scoundrel bounty hunter.
There we go.
So you get her in your party if you're light side, and you get Hanhar.
Okay, that explains. I had to fight her to the death.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you fight Hanhar to the death?
So. Yes, I fought I don't know. Hanhar
from Michigan. I'm sorry.
I'm going to get into some end game spoilers here. So if you really don't want to want to know anything about this.
We should say that the twists and spoilers in this game are not nearly as satisfying as the first one. So you're not going to be missing. It's not going to, if you've played KOTOR 1, you're like, oh, I would never want to have that spoiled. This game is not really like that.
Okay.
In my personal opinion.
Minor spoiler, Mira, the bounty hunter, was one of the characters that had like a glowing light side alignment in my party.
Oh.
And so when I was on the last planet, she showed up and had to fight Hanhar.
Wait, what?
Hanhar. Yeah, so...
Dude, I killed her on the first planet, on Nar Shaddaa.
So what happens in the story, again, spoiler alert, is you fight the Wookiee, you defeat him, and then Kreia comes in behind and resurrects him from the dead.
What?
Yep.
Nope. Yep. Definitely did not have anything like that in my game.
Yep.
But I was dark side.
Well, and that's just it, right? That's what's cool about this game is like the stuff that happens. So that's why I'm like, well, is the alignment of characters, because Bowder, B-A-O-D-U-R.
Bowser. He's the
Bowser,
dragon from Mario.
Zabrak. He was in my party most of the time because he's really good at repairs and stuff.
Oh, that was Darth Maul.
Yeah, Bowder. I think they call him Bowder. But he also played a role at the end of the game, and I couldn't have conversations with him anymore. It was just like anytime I tried to talk to him, it was like gave me the option to just walk away. So he like follows you blindly through the game, basically. Not blindly, but like. So I don't know what your relationship with him was.
I don't remember. Like I said, I pretty much just used Atten and Kreia the entire time.
Well, the reason I ask is because like he is a character that like he served with you like back in the the history of this.
The Mandalorian Wars.
Yeah, the Mandalorian Wars. So he's like, he keeps calling you general, and like he's a follower of yours. And so he's kind of significant he has a significant relationship.
I did
with the
see
main
that
character,
you have to do something very specific for him to like reach his potential, and if you miss it, you miss it.
Yeah, I don't know. So he was a key at the end of the game for me.
Okay.
So I don't want to spoil too much. But
I don't know what you're talking about. I have
all right,
no
well, we
clue.
could talk about it afterwards so that we can see if you had the same experience that I did.
Sounds good. You got anything
But
else?
I kind of do. The combat is a blast when you get fully powered up.
It's fine.
So you spend a good number of hours, probably over 20, where you're like attack and it's like miss. You're like a lot of your attack and you're just like, all right, well, this is annoying. Fortunately, you tipped me off with like the speed is like essential. I'm like, that's a great idea. Just get speed and sprint through the entire game.
Yeah.
So I had master speed on like most of the time.
Oh, yeah.
One of the benefits of master speed is you get an extra attack every round.
Yes.
So I'm running around with a double-bladed lightsaber instead of like 2 attacks per round. I'm getting 4 attacks per round. When I'm using flurry attack, I'm getting 5 attacks per round and stuff like that. So I spent, 60 to 70% of this game like watching my attacks miss. And then when I was finally a fully powered up Jedi, master speed, battle meditation, and it just watched me one shot most of the weaker enemies.
Watch me whip. Watch me nay.
It's like, I was like, this is so much fun. Like my stasis, like I just can freeze everybody. I can freeze a group of enemies and just knock them all out. It's like, it was so much more fun when my character just basically stopped missing. Like he was basically hitting 95% of his attacks, and I was like, "This is amazing."
Yeah, the all of the upgrades definitely do pay off eventually.
Yeah, and like on the sort of funness of the combat when it gets, when you get your powers and leveled up, the lightsaber forms. I thought the lightsaber forms were great. Did you use any of these?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. There's ones that optimize your lightsaber if you're fighting a bunch of opponents, if you're fighting people with blasters, if you're fighting a Jedi.
Yeah.
If you want to just like go full out no defense, just like Kylo Ren style, just like hacking at people.
Yeah.
So you can choose how you use your lightsaber, and you definitely want to tweak it a little bit depending on who you're fighting. But again, it's not super important if you don't want to fuss around with all the different menus and stuff.
No, but it's cool. Like you can have like a boost to your force points and your force damage, or you can, like it's like this form is plus Jedi, but minus like
multiple opponents.
Yeah. So it adds little, and it's not like, I don't think it's crazy differences. I think my force powers went from 36 to 40 damage or something, like a little bit of a difference.
Why were you looking at your stats in the middle of it?
I wasn't. It's the numbers that pop up when I was like force wave, a group of enemies. It normally does 36. Now it's doing 40 because I was like, how much extra damage is this? So
I just used Leech Seed for the entire end game.
Well, I didn't have any dark side powers.
It's not called Leech Seed, but it's basically
Leech
that
Seed.
where you just
is that a Pokemon ability?
Yeah, you're just stealing health from people. It's like I don't
I
ever have to
thought
heal
about
my
it.
dude because I'm stealing energy from like
Drain life or
8
whatever.
different bad
Death
guys.
Field,
Yeah.
I think is what it's called.
something like that.
Yeah, the that's another cool thing is like the opposite alignment powers are more expensive to use, but you can still get them.
Yeah,
It's just like, I don't know. That's kind of fun. But
that's neat.
yep, that's neat. That's all I have, Jordan. I'm done. I'm
right.
done with what the game does well. Let's get into the real truth about KOTOR 2. Let's get into what the game doesn't do so well.
Okay.
Jordan, the first thing and the most important thing that I think that Knights of the Old Republic 2, the Sith Lords, does not do so well is it is a buggy mess.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty dang buggy. And I think that, I don't know that it was like, I mean, I haven't played KOTOR, the first one, in a year. I don't know that how bad.
2 years.
2 years. I don't know, like, if it's really all that much worse than it, but yeah, there was definitely a lot of times where it's like, okay, the person that I need to talk to do this thing isn't where they're supposed to be, or like I have all these like outstanding quests that I can't do because like the people aren't giving me the right like dialogue options. There was just like weird glitchy stuff, and if you go online and like Google like, hey, I'm glitched out of this spot, people are like, oh, you just need to go back, you need to redo that area. And I kept using quick save instead of like being smart and going and making like different saves, and so like a lot of times I couldn't go back without going back like an hour plus, and it was like, oh man, okay, I'm gonna have to go back and like reset this whole thing. And then often I just decided not to, unless it was a critical like story line thing where you had to do it. It's definitely glitchy, buggy. You can get soft locked into certain areas if you're not careful.
So the biggest problem, I would say the most common problem, is the pathfinding. It's just like a mess.
Well, that was in KOTOR 1 too, because I remember you'd be running and you get stuck on a person or get stuck on a party member or on a doorway. You're just like trying to run through a door and your guy's just like caught on nothing apparently.
Yeah, like I want to go loot the remains of that body, and like my character won't run around my party that's like in the way, or like the enemies, like you can cheese the lines of sight and stuff in this. Like literally enemies can't see over a corner that doesn't exist. Like the terrain, the map has like a corner here.
Yeah.
And so if you round the corner, you can still like see the enemy, but it breaks the line of sight. Or like when you fight the twin sons on Nar Shaddaa or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sprinting around this cantina in circles, and all of a sudden one of them is trapped in the doorway. The other one gets hung up on a door.
Same happened to me. It was awesome.
She's just like blasting me, and I'm just standing in one spot, taking them out one at a time, taking them out. And it's like, this game is so buggy. It's like ridiculous.
It is, but it's a little bit endearing, but also it's a little bit frustrating.
Yeah. Or like one of the things that happened is I got into a battle on Korriban or whatever. And it's like you're having a Jedi Vision. And so based on how you navigate the conversation before you have this vision, it'll give you like light side points.
Yeah.
I did 1 force power and I won the vision. And then I talked to the person and they started the conversation again. And I said the same options and it gave me light side points. And then the vision happened and then I defeated the enemies. And then I talked to the person a third time and it gave me light side points. And so I was able to cheese my way, and like, because I was full light side alignment, which gave me a stat boost. At the time it was Constitution, and then I did something and lost a bunch of light side points, probably 10% of my light side points, and I was like, what in the world? And so I had to do a bunch of light side actions to get it full again. So I was just trying to get back to what I unintentionally screwed up.
I saw that some of those things where you can cheese to get infinite light side or infinite dark side points aren't in the iOS version.
Yeah.
So I wonder if like they patched that or something.
Yeah.
Or if it's just a glitch of the different like hardware architecture. I don't know.
Well, I think one of the things, that I heard was this game, since it had to be out in December, they couldn't like polish and fix bugs for the Xbox version. So if the iOS version, I don't know what the state of the PC version, the official PC version. I think this game has Steam Workshop support and there's fan fixes and stuff, but
that's definitely
unofficial fixes.
Yeah, no, they. So I have this little fun fact that I pulled down to this spot. This was from TV Tropes, where I usually go to get our trivia. And they said that Obsidian, the developers, were so annoyed about having to release an incomplete game that they offered to make a mass content patch, which would have restored it to its planned glory. So it would have restored all of the content that got cut. LucasArts denied this request due to the Xbox's version being unpatchable.
Wow.
The Xbox version wasn't Xbox Live enabled game.
The original was, so that's weird because you can get like a little bit of a content. You could at the time get a little bit of DLC for the first game.
Are you sure?
I remember it, yeah.
Okay, well, this was saying that it wasn't Xbox Live enabled. So the game was rushed and a bunch of stuff was cut. They ended up cutting up to a third of the content, apparently.
Yeah.
And that left a lot of bugs. There's a lot of doors in the latter half of the game, or the last third of the game, that you can't actually access. It's like, why are all these doors? Like, do I have to do something to be able to get into these doors? Nope, that was stuff that got cut.
Yeah.
And a lot of the glitches can be solved by installing a restored content mod, which is one of those like Steam Workshop. Like they're made by just average Joes, not by Obsidian or whoever, but they've been able to go in and add in all of this content based on interviews and stuff that they heard from the developers. They went in and added all this stuff back in. So if you're like really into that, apparently you can do it on the computer. Apparently you can even sideload it onto iOS. It's not that difficult if you have you can do it through official means, not like illegally or whatever. So.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just, if you play this game, you're going to encounter bugs. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's just inevitable.
Absolutely. I would say
it's one of those. It's not like, oh, that's an unusual case. It's like, nope. It's
Yeah.
getting into a buggy experience.
save early, save often,
Yes.
and don't just use quick save. You can use quick save, but I use quick save a lot, like before every conversation, because I was trying to get those dark side points, and so often I would go back to my quick save and redo conversations, trying to figure out what the right thing to say was.
Xbox version doesn't have quick save.
Oh.
It only has manual saves.
Yeah, play this on iOS.
And I have the original Xbox version. I also have the digital version on Xbox One, of the backwards compatible version or whatever. There were a few times, I don't know if this is Xbox One exclusive or if it was like the game itself, but there were times where the game would go and it would freeze, and
no.
I would have to kill it and reload the game.
I never had that
So
happen.
save often is the save often and have several save slots is kind of the best practice here.
Yes, absolutely. For me, I would say something this game doesn't do so well is that the story is not as good as the first game.
Okay.
I feel like it is purposefully confusing. Like they're trying to kind of like put you off balance because you're not really sure what your backstory is or what the motivations of some of your party members are. So they're purposely kind of doing that. But also the story is on a much smaller scale than the first game, and there's no real twist in this game. Like there technically is a twist,
kind
but
of.
if you have any sort of brain and you can pick up on foreshadowing, there is no twist in this game. It's like very obvious. It telegraphs it from like pretty much the very first level of the game what's going to happen, and so there's no twist. And that is like the thing about KOTOR 1 is like one of the greatest twists.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like you never see it coming, kind of thing. So the fact that this game doesn't have that, it's not terrible. Like it's just like a lot of video games, but it doesn't have quite that same level of story as the first game.
Well, I think the twist in the first one is a way more interesting, sort of satisfying story. But this one, they do make your character like this significant piece of Star Wars. Like the whole story is basically your character is unique in the fact that they get exiled by the Jedi after some big horrible battle happens, and like he has a unique relationship with the Force after that. And so the way that
him and the Force, their Facebook relationship status is, it's complicated.
So basically the grand scale of the story is like, is the universe going to be significantly different after this character does whatever they do? So I mean, it's like, it's a less satisfying story for sure, but it's still like, this is an important character in Star Wars.
Sure. There's also just all these like, they're like, oh, here's a bad guy. He looks like a crumbly rock monster, and here's another bad guy, and they've got a mask. Whoa, what's gonna happen with these guys? Nothing happens with these guys is the answer. So like they set up stuff like you could tell that they were gonna try to pay some of this stuff off, and then they just ran out of time, and it's like, okay, just beat the bad guys.
That's a fantastic segue into another point that I have what the game doesn't well, and that's like closure with the side characters and stuff. Besides like getting one the bounty hunter and the Wookiee, like I got some closure there because there's like a battle and at the end or whatever for light side, and it was just like, what about I don't want to spoil too much, but it was like, it really didn't feel like there was any payoff to what I had done or built up with the party members. Like in Mass Effect, they all have like special missions and stuff. Or like, in Mass Effect 2, I think you're picking different party members, and based on how much they like you, they'll survive or they won't survive. And I feel like, I don't know if it's just something I missed or didn't do well enough with some of them, but I feel like it was just like, I rolled the credits and I was like, what about all this other stuff?
Well, that's what I think that's where it comes into who did you have influence with, who did you like spend the most time with, whose like stories did you actually do all the side quest stuff for?
Yeah.
Because like the ones that you spent that most time with, those are the ones that you're going to get the payoff for, and the ones that you didn't, you got to replay and chase those down.
I spent like no time with the bounty hunter girl. I had a couple conversations to
Yeah, I mean that might just be
It was really weird because I'm like, why is she here? Like
I had a little bit of that too, where it forced me to like have a moment with a character who I didn't ever really use in the final parts of the game.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. Did you run into Karth and Bastila from the first game?
I ran into Bastila at some point.
Yeah, which was kind of interesting. Like you just run into Karth and Bastila, and it's like, hey, I remember those guys.
I don't think in the way that you're referring to. I didn't.
There was like a cutscene, and they were like directing me and like trying to help me on my path without like really letting me know who they were.
No, yeah, no. Did Mandalore is Canderous from the first game, by the way.
I don't know what that means.
You remember the bounty hunter from the first game? He was like, that's another nod to the first game. But
there you go. Yeah, there's all sorts of those little things in there.
But yeah, like, and even like right before the end, it's like, based on what you do, the events of the universe will shift or whatever. And it sounded like I was going to have to make a choice, and then it just rolled credits. I was like, huh?
Well, they wanted to make a third one, but the third one was supposed to like go back to the story from the first one, which is kind of weird. Like you had this great payoff, like the dude's going off, and like, why didn't we follow up on the story from the first one? I don't know. I
just felt like it didn't tie up things that it, like, I'm not one of these people who looks for like glaring plot holes in things, or like really is super sensitive unless it's done really poorly.
Yeah.
But there were some things where it was like, it was telling me that I was going to make a choice, and I never made that choice when I rolled and I'm like,
yeah, I don't know. That could have been
so weird.
They were, they're cutting stuff for time. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, part of me is like, did I hit a button too fast and accidentally make a choice that I didn't realize? But I don't think so. I was just like, what? All right.
Okay,
whatever. So
I got one last thing here.
All right.
For me, it's not a huge thing, but I feel like the game needs more fast travel. They added some, which was nice. Like on Telos, you have the consoles, and on one planet you have like a Mandalorian who help you like quickly get to the camp and quickly get back to your ship. But it would have been nice. You mentioned that the levels aren't gigantic, so it's not a huge deal. But it's like, man, in the first game, I could always just click on my ship and go back to my ship, and it's like that was an awesome feature. Why is that gone in this game? There on Nar Shaddaa, you can apparently build a speeder that helps you get around, but I didn't realize that until I had done the entire level, and at that point it doesn't let you build the speeder anymore. So I'm like, it's like, man, I wish that there was more fast travel in this game. They do have it in small doses, but they got rid of the most useful instance of it, and I kind of don't understand why they did that.
So that plays into my last, like, I've got a heading with a couple subpoints or whatever, and that is like quality of life features that this game's kind of lacking.
Yeah.
And one of them is the map system and objective features could be better. Like in modern RPGs, you get like, here's where you need to go to finish this quest.
Waypoints would be super nice.
When you're on your map, like you have to literally just hit up and down on the Xbox to like scroll through these dots on the map to see significant locations. And it's like, can I just hit right and like go over to the right instead of scrolling through 6 dots, trying to find the key point?
Another reason why you should play this game with the touchscreen.
Yeah, well, is it fixed in the the other version?
Just touch the things you want to touch.
Yeah, no, you can't do it in the Xbox version. Another thing is the boost and debuff arrows on your character. You have no idea what's boosted or what's debuffed.
I don't know what that means.
So like when you cast like Master Speed, you get a little arrow on your portrait because your character's fast. It's like a little blue arrow.
You might just get like 4 arrows stacked up.
Yeah, 5 arrows. Like, what do I have right now? And then if, certain characters I had set to Jedi support, so they're casting abilities that I don't necessarily have myself. Okay, cool. I got a buff of some sort. So
you don't need to. Why do you need to know all that?
Well, because if the character casts like battle meditation or something, which boosts like whatever defense and attack rolls or whatever, I also have that ability.
You don't.
Do I need to cast it? Do I like? It's just the lack. Give me a picture of the buffs that I have instead of like, oh, your character is buffed or adrenal. The stimulants.
I never used that even one time.
Anytime you get upgraded or debuffed, like it's just arrows on your. And I complained about this in the first game, and it's like, it's a like. I don't know.
It would be nice,
give
but
me clarity
who cares?
For what's going on, which also plays into slightly the next point, and that's like it's hard to compare gear. Like in a modern RPG, like you're gonna get stuff where it's like the piece that you just picked up is better in this, and way. Like there's no compare screen.
No.
So a lot of the times, like, okay, well you have 2 weapon slots. You can put something in your right hand and your left hand, and then you have a second like right hand, left hand set. And so if you put something in both hands, you can like hit the X button on Xbox and it'll change, and you can see the damage rolls on it. But like in a modern game, like you're going to be able to look at gear side by side, and I'm just like, the screen real estate or whatever, the inventory, like you have to like scroll down through it, and like you can't like alphabetize your gear. You can't like filter your inventory super
It kind of filters
effectively
it for you based on like it put all the best
yeah,
stuff
it
together.
does, but it's like it's quality of life stuff that's just like, this is really tedious to sort of look at and manage this gear and my inventory, and like I would love to mark stuff as junk just to sell. Like I don't need 18 vibro swords. Like can I just click this, and then when I visit a merchant, like you get in a modern RPG, because that's what we do on the show, is we unfairly judge games by today's standards.
I think that is less of an issue in this game, because this game you don't really have to worry about it. You're thinking about this game like a normal RPG instead of a dummy dum-dum RPG.
No.
Yeah, and you don't need to.
It's not unreasonable to want these quality of life features in a game.
This is what it did. Instead of giving you an arrow saying this is better, if that armor looks cooler, it's better. You pick the coolest looking armor, the coolest looking sword, the coolest looking gems to put in your lightsaber, and boom. That's all you have to do. It's like, does this look cooler? Okay, it's better. And then you don't worry about it because it doesn't really matter.
Well, even that, like inside the game stuff, I don't know if there's this stuff in the manual. Just like, I was like, what is charisma and intelligence? Like, why, what are these D&D stats? And there was no way to like, without leveling your character up, there was no way to go back and like, just get like a quick, like, oh, this is what wisdom does. And
this is what I'm saying.
Man.
This is what I'm telling you. It's nice that they have that. It helped them give a system to build on, but you don't have to worry about any of it.
You don't have to worry about it, but
there's literally no point in worrying about any of it.
But actually there is, because based on how high your strength is, like, or your dexterity, you'll get bonuses. You'll get plus, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the rolls going on behind the scenes. So if you want to use lightsabers, you need to, know what strength does. And when you level up your character, it tells you what that stuff does. But if you forget what some of the stuff you're not using does, like charisma, intelligence, like, do I need intelligence? Like, is that relevant for the character I'm trying to play?
This is the thing I want you guys to know. I beat this game faster than Dan, and I didn't care about any of that stuff. That's all you need to know.
What?
That's all you need to know.
That's it.
Got anything else?
I don't.
All right. I'm done. There we go. Let's move on to our next segment. Dan, what would you pay for this game for an Xbox Complete version?
What would I pay?
For the experience you just had, 32 hours of Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords.
I'm leaving this one. The end of the game, man, like it didn't, there wasn't closure enough for me, but generally I would say that I like this game. It's just like, oh, it feels like you dropped the ball. Oh, that's because the game was pretty much unfinished.
Yeah.
But I started this one going like, I think I like this one better than the first one. And then now that I finished it, I'm like, I think I like the first one better than this one.
I feel like I liked playing this one more, but like the full experience of the other one, like with the story and everything, is better. They definitely did this is definitely like a quicker, I don't know, maybe it's just because I've played them both now and I know what to expect. I'd have to go back and play it, but I don't have one that's like, this was way better. The other one was way better. They're both enjoyable.
The thing that's coming to my gut is like 20 to 30. So I guess we'll just call that 25. Because it's like, I like these style RPGs. I like Dragon Age. I like Mass Effect. I kind of like what BioWare sort of set up with these games. And 30 for the silliness of worth it or worthless and judging games by modern standards, like 33 hours is a modern experience. There's a lot of games that are coming out that are in that range, so it's not unreasonable for $25 for like a buggy RPG from 2004.
Yeah, so I paid $10 for this game on iOS, and I'm really happy with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to say more because I don't want to spend more than I have to. And I feel really good about $10.
Yeah.
So what do you think that a complete copy on Xbox is going for?
What do I think that a complete copy is going for? So I feel like this game was relatively cheap, but I think I was out and about retro game hunting recently, and I saw a shop selling this game for like $24 or $25, and I was like, did this game spike in price? Did the KOTORs spike without me realizing it? Because I was thinking it was more in like I want to say 15, maybe like $18 for a complete copy. Around $15.
Yeah, a complete copy on Xbox is going for $14 according to PriceCharting.
Okay.
Now, Dan, there's also a Xbox Platinum Hits version.
Yeah.
Any idea what that's going for?
Ooh, the original is $14. The Platinum Hits version is, sometimes those are a little more expensive. Just depends. But those are less desirable if they're not NBA ballers, which is extraordinarily rare. I know you're just like, what are you talking about? That's like apparently super rare, so I think it's worth like $2,000 or something.
Oh, wow.
Like something dumb.
It is dumb.
Yeah.
That's very dumb.
$12.
Yeah, for some reason this one's $1 more. It's $15.
I
tried to look it up. I was like, is there a different? Did they patch it? Is there anything different? I couldn't find anything different. It's just
occasionally you do get like the whatever, the greatest hits versions of games are like the Game of the Year edition or whatever, but I don't think that's
these Platinum Hits versions are just any Xbox game that sold more than 40,000 copies in the first 9 months.
Really?
Yeah, which is a really weird.
That's interesting.
Thing to make, but yeah, that's what I could find out about it. So they're basically the exact same price, $15. Steam, any idea what's going for on Steam?
Full price on Steam? Probably $10.
Yeah, $10. Yeah, $10 on Steam. It's $15 on iOS, but you can bundle both games for $20. Yeah, and they frequently go on sale. I think they were recently on sale for like $6 or $7 a piece. Yeah. And so if you want to wait for a sale, $6 or $7 a piece. If you want to get both of them at $20, that's $10 each. That is a great deal.
That's a great deal. Also, Steam with their fire sales, I think you can get this one for $3 or $4.
Yeah, especially on Steam if you're able to load up that restored content mod and get all of the extra stuff. It supposedly fixes all the bugs, like not just adds like the story content back, but actually fixes all the bugs, because I guess a lot of those bugs got added in because of stuff they removed from the game. I mean, that's not going to fix the pathfinding and like running into dudes or getting stuck on doors, but I don't know. Maybe it fixes some of the dialogue glitches.
Yeah, I think that with the mod support, you probably can get some pretty interesting, crazy stuff going. Like, I don't know. I've never modded a game, so I don't know, if you're... I have to imagine you'll be able to get into the code and fix some of the stuff.
I have no idea. But there you go. At $10 to $15, I'm gonna have to say that's worth it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Not even a hard call at all. Especially if you are a little bit more frugal and you want to wait for a sale, I would highly recommend playing it on your phone or on tablet. It has cloud save options, so you can pass it between those, which is really nice if you want to have it on multiple devices. And I think the touchscreen is a great feature in this game. You can load up a gamepad if you want, but the touchscreen is great for this kind of game where there's a lot of different enemies on screen, and you want to just be able to pick doors or boxes or whatever. You don't have to worry about scrolling through options.
Well, that's another nice thing is like, even if you want to use touch controls, which I would rather use a controller. I used a PS4 controller on my iPhone recently for the first time, and I was like, this works surprisingly well. I can't believe that this actually feels like it's working perfectly. But you pause this game a lot. Or you can.
My game like automatically paused for me when I got into battles. Does yours do that?
It's actually an option.
Oh, okay.
You can turn it off if you want to.
I think later in the game I would have turned it off if I knew that you could turn it off, because at that point I was powerful enough that I didn't really need to like stop and select all my attacks.
Yeah. But yeah, you can manually like pause combat, and so that's helpful for like navigating a touch screen that can be a little bit wonky at times. Whereas on the Xbox version, you scroll through selectable characters and items and stuff with the right and left trigger. Yeah. So it's really easy for it to automatically know, but in iOS, if you have to touch it, it's like a little messy.
Touching it is easier, personally.
Well, it depends on where the camera's at and how much is going on screen. If you're trying to touch something specific, it's really helpful to just give me what is available for my character to interact with right now.
So I played a little bit with the gamepad when we did KOTOR 1, because I have one that works on my phone, and I quickly gave up on that. It's nice for moving around, because like running around by like dragging your finger on the screen isn't great, but everything else, like all the menus and everything and the combat was much better without it, in my opinion. Which I'm entitled to, no matter how right or wrong it may end up being.
It's usually wrong, but
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I'll agree. So it's worth it.
Worth it. I think we're
yeah.
both saying worth it.
All right, Jordan, do we have trivia today?
We do. I have one piece of trivia here. We covered a lot of the trivia about this game just based on the story of it, but this kind of goes into some of that cut content. When they were originally starting to lay out the game and to plan what they wanted to do.
We talking about a cut scene?
No. Which one of these character elements was originally planned to be included in KOTOR 2? Okay, so I'm going to give you two options.
Okay.
One of these was originally going to be in the game during the initial planning stages of the game before it was nixed by LucasArts, okay? Yeah. Was it a Jedi Master of the same species as Yoda who is secretly treacherous and evil, okay? Ooh. So like Yoda, but
dark side.
He has a mustache. He's an evil. Like whenever, it's always like the evil version has a mustache. Or was it a light side Jedi Wookiee who would be a member of your party? So a Jedi Wookiee light side character or an evil Yoda type character?
Both for your party or just in general?
I think that I have no idea.
All right, okay. Well, I was. If
I give you any more details, it's going to give it away.
I was asking if when you were saying the dark side Yoda, if you had said something about it being a member of your party. That's what I wasn't. I wasn't trying to dig for hints. I was trying to clarify my options here.
I'm not sure.
A Jedi Wookiee sounds like not a thing.
No.
So I don't think there's ever been a Wookiee Jedi.
Oh.
In the history of the galaxy far, far away. But I see him fact-checking me now.
I'm not fact-checking. I'm wondering.
A Wookiee from Kashyyyk.
Yeah, the skilled Wookiee Jedi Kirlaka is a Rise of the Empire-era Jedi Master in Star Wars Legends.
Okay.
Here's a whole list of Wookiee Jedi and their remarkable lightsabers.
Oh, all right. That's good to know.
Lobaka, Taivaka, Gungi,
Aka,
Buryaga. Oh, yeah, there's the one that's on the cover of the new High Republic.
Oh.
Kirlaka.
All right. I'm sorry.
Those ones are all canon.
I'm sorry I asked.
Those are all the canon ones, and there's a whole list of non-canon ones. So
there's no Wookiee Jedis in the movie, though.
Well, no. Not yet.
I've been some places in Star Wars canon, but I don't recall ever that being a thing. But fair enough. All right, good to know. Man, this is let's go with. I'm so torn.
It's a 50-50.
I know. Neither one is right. What did they originally plan on LucasArts? I feel like LucasArts would have been like, you can't do something with Yoda's species. Because at the time, before Mandalorian, they were real sensitive about Yoda's history and canon. So I'm going to go with Dark Side Yoda.
Yes, there was originally going to be a Jedi Master of the same species as Yoda who was secretly treacherous and evil. Kind of like you could go... Kreia. I don't know. I skipped so many of the cutscenes. I never even heard them say her name.
Kreia. Nope. Spoilers.
Yeah. Anyway, so there was nothing planned with the light side Wookiee Jedi, but you can train pretty much all of your party members to become a Jedi, but you can't train Hanhar to be a Jedi, not because it was planned to be, but at the time, Lucasfilm did have a company-wide no more Wookiee Jedi rule in place.
Really?
So it was never planned to be because there was a rule already, but the Jedi Master was something that was initially in the original planning stages, and it was cut.
That's probably why I've never tripped across this, because apparently that it was such a problem they had to make a rule.
There was too many Wookiee Jedis.
What? Guess I was just reading the wrong books.
It's like every author, they got all these different authors writing in the books and stuff, and like everybody wants to make a Wookiee Jedi, and they're like, no more. We've had too many Wookiee Jedis.
I mean, maybe pre-2000 or whatever. Maybe I just haven't read enough of those old Star Wars expanded universe, but yeah.
I mean, how many is too many? There was 5 at least that are still canon. That might be too many.
Well, I don't know. It's a big galaxy. There's a lot of species.
Right. Where's the Rhodian Jedis and the Twi'lek? The Hutt. Where's the Hutt Jedi? Jedi the Hutt.
Pizza the Hutt.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. You got it correct, Dan. So
nailed it.
You're on a little bit of a streak here.
Always. I don't think I've missed one ever.
Well, we got the spreadsheet going, and I'm starting to track them. I'm going back to the old episodes, so we'll know soon. By our 100th episode, hopefully, we'll know what your percentage is.
Yes, indeed. Jordan, I don't know what, moving on, the next episode is going to be yet. Patreon is deciding on ideas for June.
Yeah.
We haven't put a poll yet, but there are some interesting ideas.
That's some of the great power that comes with being a Patreon subscriber, is that you can help us choose themes. You can help choose an episode each month. So if you're like, I want that power.
You want that power?
First of all, be careful, because power can corrupt and then lead to the dark side. But if you think you can handle it, subscribe on Patreon. Unless you're a Wookiee. No more Wookiee Patreon members.
So I don't know what June is. I don't know if it's going to be our traditional Sega Genesis, or it might be something else. Who knows?
Yeah,
we'll keep you posted on the other episodes. Eshoppocalypse, since Nintendo's killing the eShop, just want to give a shout out to a game that you should get before it closes down. And today we're giving it, like, this is legitimately just dying. It's dead. You can't play it anymore after Nintendo kills the eShop here. That's Dr. Luigi.
Dr. Luigi.
Dr. Luigi, you...
Okay.
I don't know if this was like a Year of Luigi thing.
Probably, yeah, that was.
Super Luigi Bros.
Yeah.
But they were like, what if we made Dr. Luigi? And I was like, I think I'm going to pick this game up today. I'm going to go pick this up.
Oh, you are right now?
I'm curious. Before they kill the eShop, I got to do it.
In honor of George Lucas's 78th birthday?
Yeah, I'm finally going to go hang out with Dr. Mario's brother.
Also,
who doesn't get any love.
How much is that on the eShop? Do you have any idea?
I think it's $15.
$15, but listen up, people. If you have a time machine and you can go back to 2018, if you have a time machine that can take you to 2018, you can use 400 Nintendo Platinum points to get 40% off.
Yeah, so as I was trying to price check price check, that's literally it. I was trying to Google the price on this one to get the eShop page, which Nintendo has removed like the Wii U games from their website. And so it was like, Dr. Luigi, 400 Platinum points for 40% off. I was like, oh, cool. Can I get this? I logged in. It's like, nope. 2018. It's like, why is this page coming up?
I love that you can't actually buy a Wii U the game online anymore, but you can find expired Nintendo Platinum coupons for those games.
Like, what is this?
That just shows you the level of interest that people have in these games.
So if you have a Wii U, if you're one of the dozens of Wii U owners and you want to get the experience of Dr. Luigi before you can't anymore,
there are more Wii U owners than
Wii U.
people who would care about KOTOR being not canon anymore.
Stop.
13 million. You said 130,000 people cared about it.
I didn't say 130,000.
That's literally 10%.
Whatever, man. Whatever. Do we have anything else before we close up shop today, Jordan?
That's going to wrap up May the Force be with you.
It's May the Force be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
Nope. May the 17th if you're listening on Patreon.
I think this was by far our best May, because I enjoyed Shadows of the Empire despite its deficiencies. I really enjoyed KOTOR 2.
Yeah.
And we had a great Patreon discussion about lots of Star Wars games. So I think this is one for the ages. 2022 was quite a May the 4th.
Yeah.
I'll never get it right.
All right, my friends. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you in a couple weeks with something.
Yeah. Oh, of course. It'll be something.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, we'd greatly appreciate it if you left us a rating or review wherever you're listening, and if you shared the show with other retro gaming fans in your life. If you're looking for more retro gaming content, check out worthitoworthless.com, where you can find things like reviews, guides, game recommendations, and of course, all of our relevant links. I hope you have a great day. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks.